I'm kind of nervous filming this because it's been a while since I talked to the camera, but hi everyone! For today's video is another book video. As you can tell, I will be talking about my 2022 reads, and I read 51 books last year. Disclaimer, most of them I read in the beginning of 2022 because second half of 2022 I was so busy, hence the not posting on YouTube. I really tried my best to rank them from worst to best, but it was difficult since it's 51 books. But yeah, I'll just talk about them by my star ratings. Starting off with my 1-star reads, and these books are usually the ones that I just forced myself to finish because I don't like DNFing books. And also, these are books that made me uncomfortable. I just didn't like them at all, and I would not recommend this to anyone. But if these are books that you like, I'm not judging you. I know we have different opinions and preferences, so please don't come for me if you love these books that I hate. So yeah, let's start. And my least favorite book for 2022 is Your Dad Will Do by Katie Robert. I read this because it was super short. I think like less than 100 pages, and I think this is just the cringiest ex's dad romance that I've read so far, so I did not like it at all. Next book is Purple Hearts by Tess Wakefield. I read this because there was a Netflix movie on this and I wanted to read the book first, and same with the book, it was just okay, and the movie was just okay. I did not like the characters. I think I just didn't get attached to them, and I just felt like there was no character development. Next is The Architect by Nikki Sloan, and Nikki Sloan is one of my favorite authors for smut, and the smut here really delivered. But personally for me, I just don't like storylines with poly romances. I don't know, it makes me uncomfortable for some reason, so I rated that like a 1.5 because I enjoyed it but just made me uncomfortable. Moving on with my 2-star read, so I have 3 books for this as well, and 2 stars would mean there were some parts that I really liked, but it's not enough for me to recommend it to anyone. I still didn't like the book overall. So for the first book of my 2-star reads is If I Stay by Gail Forman. I had this since high school, and for some reason I think I rated this 4 or 5 stars when I was in high school, and I just didn't like it anymore. It was so boring. I think the only part that I liked here was the ending, but overall I wish I didn't reread it again, and I'm so surprised with my rating from before. Next book is Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata, and this one I was also super bored with, but I feel like you were meant to feel that way because it's about a woman who's been working in a convenience store for several years, and it's just about how she was so comfortable in that position, but people were judging her like what else is she gonna do with her future. I feel like there's a much deeper meaning to this story, but overall I just really didn't enjoy it that much when I was reading it. My last 2-star read is Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey, and this is Grumpy Sunshine, wherein the grumpy is the girl and the sunshine is the guy. And for me, this was just too insta-lovey. I don't know, I think it was just meant to be that way because it was a novella. I really like the smut of this book because I think Tessa Bailey is known for that as well, but I just don't think it was incorporated well because again, I just didn't feel the chemistry between them. Moving on with my 3-star reads, I enjoyed reading these books, but I feel like I forgot about them after a while. And also, these are books that I would still recommend, but I wouldn't consider my favorites. Okay, so starting off with The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. I read this because a show was coming out this year or last 2022, and the show was okay as well as this book. It was okay. I read this back in high school, and I used to consider this my favorite book, but not anymore. I just feel like it's too young adult, and I honestly didn't like Billy's character anymore. The next book is The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and honestly, I think I got bored in the beginning part of this, so it took me a while to finish it. And I don't think this is the first thriller book I would recommend if someone asked me to recommend them a thriller book, but I'm glad I finished it because I honestly didn't expect the ending. Next book is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris, and this was a heavy book. It's about domestic abuse. Reading it, I was sad all throughout it. I would still recommend it to someone, but make sure to check trigger warnings. Next book is Stuck With You by Ali Hazelwood, and this one I didn't read, but I listened to it in audiobook, so I don't know if that's the reason why I rated it 3 stars. I don't like the misunderstanding trope. They were stuck in an elevator, and prior to that, I think they had a relationship. I honestly forgot the plot of this book. Next book is ACOTAR, or A Court of Thorn Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and this one is my first fantasy book, so it took me a while to get through because I guess I'm not used to the fantasy genre. First part really kind of bored me, but after a while I got used to it and I really enjoyed it. I loved the ending and I'm excited to read the second book, but I'm not in a rush to read it because, to be honest, the fantasy genre intimidates me, but I'm gonna for sure read the second book because I heard that it's the best out of the series. Next book is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas, and this is my first book from her. I really enjoyed it, but again, this was, I don't know, for some reason I felt like it was kind of slow, and it's not my favorite like ex's dad kind of romance, but I still enjoyed it and I would recommend it. Next book is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thau, and this was such a hyped up book. Was it this year? Was it released? No, it was released last year, but I only read it at the beginning of this year, or 2022. And this kind of disappointed me because, you know me, I love super sad books and I didn't cry at all with this book. I love how unique it was, but I don't know, I was so disappointed. I was kind of annoyed with the girl character for some reason. I don't remember why, but I remember the ending of this book was super beautiful, but I'm not really sure if it was worth reading the whole book for the ending. Next book is Without Merit by Colleen Hoover, and honestly, this was better than I expected. I just heard so much bad reviews on this that it wasn't their favorite Colleen Hoover book, and honestly, it's not my favorite Coho book as well, but I still really enjoyed this one. It's just about a chaotic family, so it can get kind of messy while reading it, but I just loved the overall story of this one. It doesn't have a big plot twist like other Coho books, but again, like the lesson in this book, I just feel like it's really good. I read another 2 Mitch Albom books this year. I read The Stranger in the Lifeboat and Tuesdays with Maury, and I think I would rate this the same because they're not my favorite Mitch Albom books, but as usual, Mitch Albom has books that have really deep meanings behind it, and they're really good inspirational books. If you want to try them, I would recommend them, but if you're just starting off with his books, I would recommend these are my 2 favorite ones from him. The 5 People We Meet in Heaven and The Next Person You Meet in Heaven. Honestly, this is taking forever to film, so it's a different day now. I'm still wearing the same shirt, but whatever. Let's continue on with my 3-star reads. Next is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. If you love travel, you're gonna love this one, but honestly, the romance for me was kind of underwhelming. I didn't love the ending that much. Next book is The Pool Boy by Nikki Sloan. This is the second book of the Nashville series. This is also age gap, which in the woman is the older one, and I really like this one. If you love age gap, you want to try something new, maybe this is for you. This is more of a cutesy romance rather than smut, but there is still a lot of smut in this one. Next is Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I don't know why I rated this so low. I always think about this book. If someone were to ask me what's a good thriller book to start with, I would recommend this one. I probably should have rated it like a 4.5, but it was kind of predictable. That's why I rated this like a 3.5. But super nice. I highly recommend. Next is another novella. It is Under One Roof by Ali Hazelwood. I think this is the first book of that Loathe to Love series. I don't remember what it's called, but this one I rated a 3.75. I like this better than Stuck With You. And I know this is like my second favorite out of the three. That's why it's not a 4. I just didn't like Mara's storytelling. I was annoyed with her for some reason, but I really love Liam's character. Lastly, for my 3-star reads, I have a TJR book. This is Forever Interrupted, and I feel like this one is the saddest book I've read so far, and I know I love sad books, but this was just too sad for me. That's why I rated it a 3.75 and not a 4, not a 5. Honestly, I don't know if I would recommend this. It's just really heavy. If you want to read something about grief, I think this is for you. It's just, I don't know. I feel like there's no true happy ending with this one, but I still love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. So yeah, you can read this if you love her books too. Let's move on to my 4-star reads. 4 stars would mean that I really loved the books. There were just some things that made it not perfect, but I would still highly recommend them. Starting off with You Are a Badass Every Day by Jen Sincero. This one I feel like is a typical self-help book, and I don't read a lot of those. That's why I really liked it. But honestly, I kind of forgot that I read this, so I should probably rate this like a 3 or 3.5. Another self-help book is this one, Lessons from Dad, John Gokongwei Jr. by Lance Gokongwei. This one I liked more because it was kind of set in the Philippines, and also it's a super short read and super inspirational. I love this one. Next book is Below Zero by Ali Hazelwood. This is the last book of the Loathe to Love You series. And I just really love this. This is my favorite out of the series. I really love the chemistry of the characters, and I don't know, it was just my favorite out of the 3. Next book is Anyone and You by Jack Whitney, and I really love this one. It was like the perfect mix of cheesy and spicy. It's a novella, so it's super short, and this one is about 2 people who went on a blind date, and apparently they're neighbors. Next is One of Us is Lying by Karen and McManus, and this one I really love the mystery aspect. I loved like finding out who the killer was, but honestly the ending kind of underwhelmed me, and I just wish it ended differently for some reason, but I still love the overall book, the overall reading journey. Next is The Mistake by L. Kennedy. For some reason, I don't remember what's this about anymore, but I remember liking it. But I also remember that I loved The Deal more than this one because I didn't tab it as much as The Deal. So if you were to ask me, I'd prefer The Deal, but I feel like this is also worth the read. Next book is The Selection by Kara Cass, and this was recommended to me so much by my friends because I didn't read it in high school for some reason, and this one is just secondhand. That's why it's so yellow already, but I really love this. I didn't think I would love it because, like I said, for some reason I don't like young adult romances anymore, but this one, again, I super loved. It has Bridgerton vibes, and also it has a love triangle, which I kind of love. But yeah, highly recommend this one. Next is Confess by Colleen Hoover, and this one, let's first appreciate that there is actual art in this book. So as you can tell, ayan. And I just love that you get that aspect of the book, but honestly I remember reading this so slow compared to her other books because I didn't love the characters. For some reason I was annoyed with them, but I ended up loving the story, and I loved the ending of this one. Next one is Heartstopper Volume 1 to 4, and I don't know if Volume 5 came out already. I'm not updated, but anyway, this one is super cute. It's a graphic novel, and I highly recommend it if you like LGBT stories and just, I don't know, if you want young adult romance, you're gonna love this. Next few books are part of a series called Filthy Rich Americans by Nikki Sloan. And this is the reason why I consider Nikki Sloan one of my favorite authors now. This is taboo romance, so I know it's not going to be for everyone. And again, I'm warning you now, you might not like this, but I love this series. Even my sister loves it. I think she was the one who recommended this to me. Just Please don't judge me for loving the series. I know there are parts that are gonna be so uncomfortable for people, and it was super uncomfy for me. I just didn't know what I was reading, and I just can't imagine this happening in real life. I forgot to say, first book is The Initiation, second is The Obsession, and third is The Deception. I feel like this is an unpopular opinion, but personally for me, my favorite book is The Deception, which is the last book I read, because she ended up with the person I wanted her to end up with. So yeah, let me know down below if you read this and what you think of this series. I just want someone to read this with me. Since I didn't explain the series that much, I think all I can say is that it has the arranged marriage trope, which I didn't know I liked. Now for our top 15, and this is still in the 4-star category, but I rated it 4.25, and it's The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I think this is my first book from them, and I really love this one. It's like Hating Game but on vacation, so it's enemies to lovers. And also a lot of people say that they don't like the family aspect because it's kind of boring. I'm not sure if that's what they said, but I actually really loved it. I love the romance and the family. From here on out, these are all my favorites now. So this one I rated 4.5, and it's The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one is historical fiction, which I never thought I would love, but I really love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. This one just makes you feel like Evelyn Hugo is a real person, and it's super emotional, and I highly recommend this. Another super sad read, and also one of my favorite reads for this year, 2022. A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I didn't expect much from this book, but it was super sad. I kept crying every time I opened it, every time I read a chapter. It was so painful, but in the greatest way. Highly recommend this. For me, the ending wasn't the best, but just overall, one of the best books I've read this year. Okay, another really good read. Not as emotional, but super kilig. I really loved the romance of Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I'm excited to read the rest of the series. I already have the second and the third book, so hopefully I can read it this year. And yeah, I love this. It's just about two addicts who fell in love, and it's friends to lovers. Just overall, such a cute read, and highly recommend. Now for our 4.75 read. This is my last book in this category of 4 stars. Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Super close to 5 stars. I don't know, it's just not my favorite Coho book, so I didn't rate it 5 stars. Another super emotional read. I love the romance, and also it's about family, about a mother and daughter, which I love it. I think I love that more than the romance in this book, but yeah, super emotional. I guess that's why I love it. Now moving on to my 5-star reads, and honestly, this one in the top 10, I don't know if it deserves a 5 stars. It's Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. Honestly, I feel like I'd rate it like a 4.5. Yeah, it's not a 5-star for me anymore. Now that I think about it, it's bully romance. I compared this to Birthday Girl because I read it after Birthday Girl, and I just love this more. That's why I rated it 5. It's not for everyone, but I really loved it. I couldn't put it down. That's why I rated it 5 stars. I just know this book gets so much hate. That's why I'm trying to defend myself. But at that moment, I remember just reading it in one sitting, probably 2 days. I don't know. I just read this so fast, and I liked it at that time. One of the books here that I'm gonna mention is a series, so it's considered one book. So maybe this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are my top 5 now. In top 5, or technically top 9, Serenading Heartbreak by Ella Fields. I freaking loved this book, but the ending, oh my gosh, the ending. I hated the ending. But overall, I couldn't put it down. I wish it had an alternate ending, and it kind of reminds me of It Ends With Us. It's like your childhood love and also a newfound love. Yeah, that's how I would describe this one. These next two books, I honestly cannot compare them. It was so hard to choose between the two, but they're both from the same author, so I'm just gonna mention them at the same time. Verity by Coho and Layla. These were my favorite Coho books. I don't know if it's better than All Your Perfects. I think I still love All Your Perfects more, but these two, I think they deserve a spot in my top 3 Coco books. I just love Colleen Hoover's thrillers. It's just so good because it has romance in them as well as thriller, which is my newfound loved genre, if that makes sense. I love these. I wish she came out more with thrillers because I always rate them 5 stars. This one I loved, and the twist, for some reason I kind of expected it, but I didn't want to believe it, but I still loved it because it was so messed up. As well as this one, this is a paranormal romance. It was so crazy and so weird, but I love the ending. My top 2 is Rock Paper Scissors by Alice Feeney. I love this. Like, I did not expect the ending at all. Like, I just was so hooked all throughout the book. I just wanted to know the ending, and just wow, just the best thriller book I've read so far. If we were just considering purely thriller without any romance, this is the best book, and I highly recommend this to anyone. I don't think I even explained what the book is about, but Rock Paper Scissors is about a married couple, and they're trying to save their marriage, so they go on a vacation, but the place they're staying at is super creepy, super weird. They're trying to figure out who invited them to that place. But yeah, it's super good. I love it. Also, by the way, I'm so sad I don't have the physical copies of these books that I'm talking about. But the last one is, if you watched my only monthly wrap-up, which is the January wrap-up, I think it's the last book I read in January, or the last books I read. It's a Mindfuck series, and it's 5 books. The Risk, Sidetracked, Scarlet Angel, All the Lies, Paint It All Red. My favorite one is All the Lies, which is the 4th book. I think it's the most emotional one, but overall 5 stars. Just the best book I've read this year, and I'm sad that I read it in January. I feel like I already forgot about it. I still think it's the best. It's romance thriller as well. Basically, the series is about a serial killer and an FBI agent. The FBI agent is investigating like a serial killer case, and he doesn't know that it's his girlfriend. Just so mind-blowing. I love them together. Just even the ending, the best. This literally took me 2 days to film because I had to it's like I had to study all the books again. But yeah, I hope you appreciate this effort. I just hope you like this video. I'm gonna try and film more book videos, more mid videos soon, hopefully, if I have time. It's just last year was just super difficult for me, and I just had to stop YouTube for a while. I'm not sure if I'm gonna come back on YouTube or just stop again for a few months, but we'll see. Hopefully you still like this video. Give this a thumbs up, comment below any video suggestions and your favorite books, because I need recommendations, especially thriller books. Please let me know down below. And thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on my next video. Bye!